Namaskar. Hello and welcome to this session two of the Diet Doctors Primers, which we started off yesterday. And in the first introductory session, what we saw was that as to how the Indian Council of Medical Research, its NIN, National Institute of Nutrition, has come up with this 17 very elaborate and very wide-based dietary guidelines for Indians. And we saw for the first time that 56% of the disease burden in the country is because of the unhealthy diet choices, and perhaps the national mission and vision of Arogyata, it can be really accomplished to a great extent if we all embark upon a healthy diet regimen. And as we said yesterday, that we would be taking up each of these dietary guidelines in a very elaborate fashion, and we would be doing it in a reverse order, in the reverse index in which with which ICMR has presented them out here. So the guidelines 17th we would start with. गीता के 18 अध्याय की तरह ICMR की ये जो गाइडलाइंस हैं, लगभग 17 गाइडलाइंस हमारे समक्ष प्रस्तुत की गई हैं, and today we would be delving deeper into this guideline 17, which is quite a layman perspective, which says that read the information on food labels to make informed and healthy food choices. And I have with me Dr. Surbhi to assist us in making the deeper sense, a doctor from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So Ahar Hi Aushadhi Hai remains one of the cornerstones of integrated medicinal practice out here. और वो जो कहते हैं ना कि कई बार बहुत सारा सत्य हमारे समक्ष आने के बावजूद छिपा रहता है. So somewhere or the other, a kind of poking or an invoking is required so that we take it into our day-to-day practices, our habits. Habits make it a man. And this entire program of Diet Doctors, which is directed towards our school faculty members largely, because the 12 years of K-12 schooling, whatever we have, 12 to 15 years, kind of a long span of schooling, which from early childhood to adolescence, the sanskars along with शिक्षा, तो हेल्दी फूड हैबिट्स का जो संस्कार है वह भी पड़ जाए, और उसकी जो शिक्षा है, द एंटायर एजुकेशनल स्पेस अराउंड दैट, द लॉजिक, द व्हाई, द साइंटिफिक एविडेंस around those practices, if it can be inculcated well at our educational campuses, so that will be a great service to improve the health index of the country. So I would invite Dr. Sulbi to start off today's session by reading out the rationale behind this health guideline. लगता है बड़ा असाधारण सी बात है, बड़ा चिकने चुपड़े कागजों पर पैकेजिंग पे, वेरी अट्रैक्टिव पैकेजिंग हमारे समक्ष परोसी जाती है, एंड वी स्पेंड अ वेरी हेफ्टी अमाउंट ऑफ मनी ऑन अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस्ड फूड्स, और पढ़ते भी नहीं है कि इसके अंदर इंग्रेडिएंट्स क्या है, जो फ्रंट पर लिखा हुआ है क्या वो मैच कर रहा है पीछे से. So this scientific inquiry, the spirit of scientific inquiry, which is so very central to our entire educational paradigm, are we actually deploying it even in a very simple use case, as like picking up a food product and analyzing and discerning it? So Dr. Surbi, please do the honors of reading the rationale of guideline 17th of ICMR dietary guidelines for Indians. Yeah.
So namaskar, and now we're talking about the, what is the rationale behind the why we are giving the information on the packed food items. What is the rationale? So most of the food items are now available in pre-packaged form. Therefore, the consumer needs to know what is inside the pack. Food labels on a package provide information about contents, like what are the contents in the food item, ingredients, what it is made up of, and nutritional information as well as shelf life. Reading the label can help to make an assessment of the nutritional quality and safety of the foods and make an informed choice. So this is essentially about the rationale. Now, when we talk about, what does the label information inform us about the food? So, a food label display the name of the food, a list of the ingredients, the net weight, brand name, name and address of the manufacturer, date of manufacture, use by expiry dates. We often note, like, say, example, if we see a biscuits packet, how much content, the weight, what is the content in the food item, and then what are the ingredients, by when we can use it, expiry dates and all. So that is essentially the rationale and about the food packaging. Yes,
So
Raghav.
these items, whatever we are saying, the paragraph one, food labels. So this can be a wonderful exercise which our diet doctors, our faculty members can really ask our young learners. And this is a very attracting part. Ki go back, pick up at least 5 to 7 food products, the packaged ones in your household, and in a sheet, in a spreadsheet, or in a book, in a copy notebook, just mention and come up with these very items. So there is a rationale that why the food regulators try to put this all. This is not just from a regulator perspective, this is also from a consumption perspective. This, as we all know, this is a consumerist economy. So why we know we should not make an informed consumption. वो कहते हैं ना दिखावे पर मत जाओ अपनी अकल लगाओ. So is a malt drink, is a chocolate drink so very healthy apart from the taste whatever we get, is it really healthy going deeper into our system? So this is where ICMR is trying to invoke our scientific temper, that whenever we pick up a food product, apart from the front, beautiful, attractive labeling, let's go back on the back of that food item. Let's read out the label in depth. And the ingredient declaration informs of all the ingredients that are in the food product. Again, this is not so very elaborate at very many times. A lot of things are hidden from proprietary perspective, but still it gives us a sense कि कितना क्या कुछ उसमें है. And these are displayed in descending order with the ingredients that is highest in quantity appearing first. And the declaration of the nutrient information is mandatory as per the Indian regulation, especially energy in kilocalories, protein, which is reported in grams, carbohydrates, which is like specifying quantity of sugar, and fat, which is in grams. So sugar and carbohydrates are to be ascertained prominently, and clearly specifying the quantity of saturated fats and trans fats. This is these two are very concerning matters, so they have to be declared out there, like kind of a statutory declaration, a little less than the statutory warning per se, but we can all acclimatize it according to our needs. And the nutrition fats should also be display the amount of any other nutrient the product claims to contain. And always read nutrition facts and ingredients presented on the label and assess the benefits of the specific food items in relation to nutritional requirements. So this is the nuts and bolts as to what this packaged food product contains and how much we should. So this helps us in discerning, in making our own food plate, our own food mix. So reading that is very, very essential. Now, what do various terms and symbols which are used on the labels convey? Let's understand that further. So FSSAI is the nodal body, is the central body, Foods Standards and Safety Authority of India. Its logo, and it gives a license number. It's a very elaborate number, and which is largely geo-tagged. For a company, they might be having various manufacturing plants, but FSSAI license number is given to a particular manufacturing facility. So this indicates that the manufacturer is licensed by the regulator. And one additional exercise which our diet doctors can really make our young learners in the classrooms, make them Sherlock Holmes or kind of detectives, or I would say let they read out that license number, go to the FSSAI portal, and from that very license number, they should backtrack. Oh, where this manufacturing plant is located. FSSAI is doing is trying to upload all the certificates online. Everything is getting digital. So just try to backtrack from the number to the further details on the web portal. And a green dot in a green square indicates vegetarian food, and a brown triangle in a brown square indicates a non-vegetarian. At least one ingredient is from animal source, including egg, but not milk. So, lacto-vegetarianism is not the Indian paradigm. Milk we all consume, and milk is considered to be vegetarian by all means, but egg is considered to be non-vegetarian in the Indian parlance. So that is what the differentiation is quite very much out there. In fact, there is a newer category of food products which is coming. There is a large section of population which even doesn't consume onion and garlic for various health reasons and for various other religious reasons also. So that term, in fact, some of the brands like in ketchup, they are explicitly saying on the front that no onion and no garlic. So that is again a very more refined food choice which is coming up, which is also emerging in the country. So logo for fortified food. This is the third logo or marker you will see. Fortified food actually means essential nutrients such as vitamins and minerals have been added to the food, and consuming fortified wheat, flour, rice, milk, oil, and salt, it helps to meet the deficit in daily requirements for specific nutrients. So now again, it's a very policy measure. Like, for example, iodine has been mandatorily fortified with the salt. Like Gouter, we used to have the thing. I would bring in Dr. Surbe as to what is the policy rationale behind compulsory fortifying an existing natural product with the micronutrients out there. Dr. Surbi.
Yeah, actually, there is a very kind of a concept here that if you are adding if you're adding any vitamins and minerals to the staple food or to the main food essential ingredient, the absorption and the nutritional value of that food item gets enhanced, So, for example, when we say fortified wheat flour, so wherein we are adding certain, like we have multigrain wheat, multigrain flour, multigrain atta, which we say. And similarly, we can have, in oil, certain those substances which are, not just plain, let's say, mustard oil, but a kind of a combination of certain elements, So these fortified food items, one, the absorption increases, two, the nutritional value increases. So definitely. So when we say that a plain food item and a fortified food item, this is the difference.
So basically, apart from the technical and the medical rationale of it, there is a different school of thought also from an economic standpoint. They say
Mhm.
that the production of food is a farmer's right, and it is fortification is again adding a layer of industrialization to the entire food value chain. So there are segments of scholars who say that why it's a need if the population is quite, I would say, uh, uh, it's illumined. It is empowered. So fortification still has like the GMO crops or something like that. So again, it has some doldrums, some issues. Perhaps that's on the policy plane. Debate is still not very much settled out there. But there are also consumer choices. You can see the two product which has a fortified variant and which is a normal plain natural variant. So like generally even the doctors have this balance key. Either you take a synthetic kind of a nutritional product or you can go for an organic
Yes,
one. So
yes, and for
I think
that
those are
matter,
the choices out there. So fortification is a
true.
process. In some areas, like they are saying, oh, compulsory whatever rice is being distributed through the public distribution system, just to fulfill the nutritional needs of the bottom of the pyramid population, just fortify it over there. And there is another school of thought which says, oh, we have enough of diverse crops or foods in our geocultural locales. So why not eat your madua or I would say other jhingua, the localized nutritional foods which can fulfill that
Absolutely,
need
absolutely.
phenomenally. So that is something we don't want to enter into in this part of it. But again, fortification is not a very settled kind of a debate in the public
And
nutritional
for that
space. But
matter,
yes,
for that,
this is
yes.
one area where things are moving on. Then there is a vegan logo. In view of the growing popularity of veganism, FSSAI has introduced vegan logo to be displayed on the pack for foods that do not have ingredients, food additives, and processing aids of animal origin, including milk, honey, etc. This will help differentiate vegan products from vegetarian and non-vegetarian food. So this is another sub-classification which is coming, and this is fair because as and when the civilization is moving further and forward, we have all the right to really have a discernment as to what a food product is all about. Then there is also an ISI mark, which is currently mandatory on the labels of packaged drinking and mineral water and certain processed foods such as infant food, milk, and skimmed milk powder. However, this may be done away with soon as all quality symbols on food packs will now be provided by FSSAI alone. So one nation, one agency, one certification agency principle. So this might be done away, but still on some of the food products, you might be witnessing them. Then there is another mark, the egg mark on agricultural products such as vegetable oil, pulses, cereals, spices, honey, fruits, and vegetables. It indicates the quality of products. So as you can see on the screen, that FSSAI, this is the ISI logo. This is Government of India for all agricultural products, the egg mark. This is generally the fortified Sampurna Poshan Swasth Jeevan. Then vegetarian food. This is the logo for non-vegetarian. This is Jaivik Bharat. Another movement which is going on in the agrarian system is like, is it a organic food where no chemical fertilizer across or pesticides for that matter have been used, and then vegan, which is no extractions from the animal space has been done. So what information is actually required to assess the safety and shelf life of a food item? So we live in a modern world. ताजा दूध मिल पाना बड़ा कठिन है nearby ग्वाले से. So that used to be the ideal state where you have a home farm and you have a local close by milk producer or a raw honey producer. In the processed industry, you have to also be vigilant about the shelf life of a product. So always check the date of manufacture. And there is another term which is use by or the date of expiry, which is an indicator for the freshness of that food product. Expiry date or use by date indicates that the product's quality and safety could deteriorate, and consumption beyond that date would increase the risk of food poisoning. Be sure to consume foods before the use by or the expiry date. Also read the storage instructions to know where and how to keep the food product and for how long. Read instructions for use if stated. Make sure you follow these instructions for best results. So these are the some of the bottom line nutritional considerations which the regulators have imposed upon the food processing industry. So as consumers, as responsible consumers who are vigilant for our own health from a purview of nutrition, because ahar hi aushadhi hai. And we will really like to repeat again and again that let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And when diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. And when diet is correct, medicine is of no need. And some individuals may be allergic to some specific food items. So avoid food products that include such ingredients. So allergens do come very handy when you go to a doctor, when you give your medical history. So doctors generally ask, so if you are really allergic, so keep a record of it in whatever scenario you are. And consuming these allergens, even in small quantities can cause severe allergic reactions in some people. Common allergy causing ingredients, they include casein in milk, tree nuts, peanuts, eggs, fish, shellfish, soya bean, and proteins in wheat. Those who are concerned, they can see the allergen declaration. There is an allergen declaration also on the food products per se. Now, coming again further, how is the display of nutrition facts? It's actually useful. Before I come to it, I would really like to bring in Dr. Surbe as to what is this allergen due to food items from a medical
Yes,
perspective. Would you like
yes.
to throw some more light on this
Sure,
aspect?
sure. So we have something called as lactose intolerance, and this is seen sometimes in children right from the childhood age only, where they're not able to digest milk. So then we give them substitutes to the cow milk or substitute. That is a very this phase has to be cross tided over. So something like soya milk or some other substitutes of milk which we have, we have to give them almond milk and things like that. Casein milk, so lactose intolerance. Again, eggs. Eggs are a very major source of food allergy, and very often we see rashes and all kinds of allergic reactions with eggs. Then soya bean again is also commonly found. Proteins in wheat. This is the gluten. The gluten, the protein in wheat.
The core
So
question, Dr. Surbe, is why it happens.
yes,
We are more interested in why some people are allergic to some substances.
and why
But
some are not.
the choice is one part of it. I have a choice. I don't like a particular food item. That's perfectly okay. That's my freedom to choose. But what constitutes, I would say, what coerces me not to consume a particular food item for that matter because
So
of allergy?
allergic response of each body can be different. It is not necessary if there is a family of five people, all the five people should be digesting that equally. Though there are some genetic basis also of allergic responses, primarily this stems from the immunity, how the immune system of the body of that person is based. So
Hmm.
food allergies, they may be past behavior. Say, for example, somebody is consuming non-veg food, and suddenly he tries and he develops an allergy to milk or wheat. I mean, there may be cross reactions, but largely this is immune based. So it's difficult to predict that why a person has allergy and why a person does not have allergy.
So perhaps
So
a detailed medical consultation, going deeper into it, taking detailed medical
correct,
history,
correct.
perhaps would help that out. Yeah.
And secondly, there are certain disorders like lactose intolerance is a medically identified disorder. Gluten intolerance in like wheat, proteins in wheat, celiac disease, all these are medically identified. They have genetic basis to this. So these are treated by avoiding the allergen, by having a diet which is suitable according to the sensitivities.
Perfect,
So
perfect,
yeah,
perfect.
yes.
Thank you so much. Moving forward, so how is the display of nutrition facts useful? Yeah, one is the regulatory regimen कि भाई करना ही करना है, लिखना ही लिखना है. But from a consumer's standpoint, why it is useful? So in the label under the words nutrition facts, there is a statement on the serving size, the portion size. Whatever we talk about in the restaurants, we say ना भैया portion size कितना है under the MRP and all. So in fact, FSSAI is trying even the restaurant people to write down the portion size also along with the price tag. So that is from an economic standpoint. So this is one of the most important pieces of information on the label because all of the nutrition information shown is based on the referred serving size. So all nutrition is based on that serving size. And the serving size could be described in a few different ways in the label, and it depends on the food item which is being referred to. The most common measures are grams, cups, scoops, and pieces. Grams tend to be listed most of the time, even when the serving size may also be listed in a different way. So do check the net weight of the packet. This is the total amount of product contained in the packet. The nutrition facts label information is generally based on one serving per 100 gram or 100 ml. But many packages may contain more than one serving or more than 100 grams or 100 ml. So we have to check as to how many servings per ml or gram is being used against the number of serving unit used for presenting the nutrition fact. And according to the amount of food item being used, assess calories and other nutrients in the portion being used. So perhaps our diet doctors from the domain of biology can bring in the mathematics faculty and use this basic elementary mathematics exercise to our young learners to make sense कि भैया mathematics की utilization क्या है, these grams ml, these serving sizes. So some new problems, the kids can go back home and use their kitchen as a mathematics lab as well, because that's where the nutritional index is coming from. So that interdisciplinarity regimen of the new education policy can also be implemented in a phenomenal fashion, in an applied fashion out here. So they have also given a table, I will just read it out, table 17.1, which presents details on nutrition facts that are expected to be stated in the label and factors to be taken into consideration for making healthy food choices. So this is the table 17.1. Let's read it out. On this left hand side, we have the nutrient information which is on the label. And what is the importance of choosing the food item? So energy, under the label energy. So what the ICMR doyens are talking is like, note the calories per serving and presented in kilocalories. So again, it's a scientific notation. So this is where even our elementary school learning comes into action. We don't have to become a dietitian after a postgraduate studies. We can really become a diet doctor right in our early stages, become cognizant of these terms, their implications on our health, because health is from, as we saw yesterday in the last session, from the garbhadhan, just from being pregnant, just being in the womb, to the elderly stage, to the end of the life. So, which stands for kilocalories. Check the number of servings. If the label states 2 servings for the entire packet and the calorie content is 100 calories per serving, then use of the entire packet would imply consumption of 200 calories. And fat free does not mean calorie free. So this is the kind of intertwined intelligence which we have to develop in action. And that's where we say that people become diet doctors. People say, oh, we will search this very aspect on Google. And today we are having all sorts of AI algorithms coming into play, which are presenting a lot of differential diagnosis, different use cases. But then when a trained doctor who is contextually consulting you uh, picks up the play of various parameters, then only the sargam of arogyata comes into play. So fat free does not mean calorie free. Carbohydrates and sugar under the label. So check for energy coming from carbohydrates and sugars. Pay attention to sugars, especially added sugars, to reduce the risk of obesity and NCDs, non-communicable diseases, because of dietary factors we learned in the last session. And select foods that are low in refined carbohydrates. So going to a supermarket and picking up a food item is a very selection problem. It's not like quickly, don't choose a product on the front packaging, the attractiveness of the model who is displaying that very food product, but then turn the packet around and based on this scientific notation, this ICMR guidelines, pick the food products accordingly. Fats. Select the foods or variants of foods that are low in refined carbohydrates and total fat content, especially saturated fats and those that contain no trans fats. This would help in reducing the risk of heart disease.
So
Then,
trans fats, are I just like to come in here.
hmm,
Trans fats are those kind of unsaturated fatty acids, fats, which clog the arteries. They have a property, they get deposited in the arteries, and thus they're very causative in heart disease and because naturally they're blocking the
but
arteries. So
doctor, what is the reason of using trans fat in these products? What is the Does it improve the taste, or does it add to the addiction of that particular product? What is the
Possibly, yes.
rationale?
Possibly, yes. You see, this is it's very, very, important to have knowledge on this fact. These food items, trans fats, definitely they have an addictive taste. Maybe for some, maybe for some, may not. And but then, this is a kind of a malpractice, or a not a good practice, which the food industry, I mean, we need to be conscious. We need to be look
Or
into
is
this.
there a cost factor also associated? Low quality fats they use to increase the profitability of that
Yes,
product.
that's
Okay.
possible.
Mm.
Access, access, cost, taste, why they're introducing this very much. So again, this needs to be regulated at the policy level. I think this would come from the government authorities and the regulatory bodies. But say, for example, I mean, there's so many things in the diet which are not good for health, but are still percolating in the food chain. So this needs to be regulated at the authority level. I mean, that's all we
Mm.
can say at this
So the
point.
another element is sodium. Sodium is linked to the salt, NaCl, we all know about it. So select foods that are low in sodium content to help reduce the risk of high blood pressure. So blood pressure, again diabetes and blood pressure राज रोग जो आधुनिक युग के हैं. Again, it's a pandemic. So somewhere even the doctors say, even in our ghar ki maa ka khana ki, don't take the processed sea salt more. Take the mountain salt or the pink salt, which is now coming up, which is low on sodium. Perhaps Dr. Survi would have some guidance on that, on the use of salt.
So definitely salt, is a very essential component, because iodine deficiency, of course, comes from if the salt is not, laden with iodine, goiter and all. That's one aspect of that. But then salt is also linked to blood pressure, and taking high quantities of salt is not good for the heart, for the blood pressure in that way, and even for the kidneys also, because when blood pressure increases, the damage on the kidneys is there, so that way. And we always say that Sendha Namak, rock salt, is good. Similarly, those who have blood pressure, we say Kala Namak, black salt खाइए. थोड़ा सा दही में डाल के, if you take black salt, it's good for the blood pressure. Reduce the main salt which you are taking in the diet, and substitute it. Replace it with Sendha Namak. Take Sendha Namak in daily cooking. Why
Mm.
only in fasts and vrat, which is usually the Indian culture. So because the sendha namak, the tendency to increase the blood pressure is lesser, and it's beneficial for health.
And
That is
again,
the
it's like a recapitulation of the principle of diverse food items. So even in the salt space, have diversity of salts. What is the harm out there? And then again, what the table talks about is dietary fiber, vitamins and minerals. So check on the label that if vitamins, minerals, and fiber in the product are natural or they are added. So that's where the fortification issue comes into play. So it is mandatory to display them under nutrition facts in the label. Naturally present vitamins, minerals, and fibers, they have health benefits, but added ones may be chemicals and may not have that much value. So our earlier discussion out here regarding the fortification. So perhaps that's again a personal choice, because in the dietary space also there is a huge continuum of scientific tug of war and a lot of lobbies, international lobbies, national schools. So again, the whole idea is to make a consumer a tough consumer, giving them a lot of academic content, intellectual content, and then in the spirit of scientific temper, it is our individual choice what to choose, what not to choose, because the whole advertising industry and even the scientific community is somewhere caught up with the multitudes of evidences, and the whole bhul bhulaiya happens out there. So again, it is very, very personal in nature, and no expert would be coming on the face of it to propound and propagate something or the other. So we have to really make a personal choice out of this knowledge-based, scientific-based evidences. So recommended dietary allowances, this is another term, RDAs. So food labels, they display nutrient contents as a proportion of the RDAs. That is percentage of the nutrients in relation to a 2000 kilocalories a day recommendation. So if you are consuming a food item, आपने 200 कैलोरी अगर किसी एक पर्टिकुलर फूड आइटम से if you have consumed, so you have to have a diverse food items की बाकी 1800 कैलोरीज आप किससे लेकर आएंगे. So RDS के proportion में they talk a lot about it. All this knowledge would come handy when we will take up a dozen different food products, packaged food products, and try to do an analysis in our own classrooms, working with the students, and they are the best teachers. I would say they have the best learning. They put theory into practice. So we have to create a kind of an environment in our classroom whereby the students really go back to the homes and bring some of the packaged items in the diet doctor class and really unravel it fully. So what are the claims? A lot of claims are made by the manufacturers. So इन claims को समझना, इनका निरीक्षण, परीक्षण, सर्वेक्षण करना भी आवश्यक हो जाता है. So manufacturers also use labels to make incorrect and incomplete claims about their food products. Now, one aspect is like you make a complaint of it in the CP grams to the Ministry of Consumer Affairs or perhaps to FSSAI directly about some unsubstantiated claims or something like that. That is on the activism plan of it all. Not everyone can do it. Not everyone is temperamentally suited for doing that. But yes, as a responsible citizen of the Republic, as a democratic society, we should really exercise that right of ours. If we find in our practice, in our experience, if some claim is out there, because all these systemic changes at the top policy level, they somewhere or the other accrue from such red flag signaling from one enlightened citizen of the country. But these claims, the incorrect and the incomplete claims uh, presented on the package, they can be broadly categorized as follows. And we have to understand the whole framework of it all. And ICMR has been unapologetic in coming forward in educating us as to what are these incorrect and incomplete claims. Nutrition claim. There is a general misconception that nutrition facts and nutrient or nutrition claims are the same. They are not one and the same. So what is nutrition claim refers to any statement which suggests or implies that a food has a particular nutritional properties. But claims like low calorie, high fiber, low fat, low sodium is not complete information. These are only marketing monikers which have to be taken with a, I would say, metaphoric pinch of salt. They have to be touched with that. So these have to be substantiated by providing the actual values or nutrition facts about the product. So apart from becoming diet doctors, we can also become diet detectives. So what this guideline 17 is talking about as to how we can make each one of our young learners as a diet detective. भैया दिखावे पर मत जाओ, अपनी अकल लगाओ, ICMR की इन गाइडलाइंस को इन्वोक करो because they comes from the most authentic and authoritative seat of nutrition, and then challenge these facts, have a deliberation in the classroom, and then come to a conclusion, and then you can it's your choice as to whatever level you want to escalate it further and forward. The second claim, which is generally found incomplete or incorrect, is like, and incompleteness is again a misrepresentation. Incompleteness and incorrectness, we have to understand both of these terms equally well in the space of diet. So health claims, any representation which states that or suggests that or implies that a relationship exists between a food product or a constituent of the food and health is a health claim. These include nutrition claims, which describe the physiological role of the nutrient in growth, development, and function of the body, and other functional claims concerning specific beneficial effects gained upon consumption of the food. कि भैया इसको दूध में डाल के पिएंगे तो आप लंबे हो जाएंगे. So these health claims also have to be taken with a pinch of salt. And as a part of the diet doctor regimen, we would like to say, because we cannot do from a national platform like Rethink India, but then you can invite some of the parents of the students who are dietitians, professional dietitians, or who are doctors, and take up the individual use cases. So one-on-one use cases you can take up in your classrooms and enrich this entire work, enrich this entire design, and add upon कि भैया कितने products में we are finding the health claims which are incomplete or incorrect. So this micro data has to come from each one of us. The risk reduction claims, again, there's a lot of incompleteness or incorrectness which is found, but in order to put it out in the public domain, it has a lot of legalities involved. So no agency would be doing it because a huge marketing push is behind it. So until or unless at the consumer level, at the educated consumer level, if these guilds become strong, then only we can thwart the push of these risk reduction claims. So these are the claims which are related to the consumption of a food product or a food constituent in reducing the risk of developing a specific disease or a health condition. So any such claim made by food companies is supposed to be substantiated with scientific evaluation independently before they are used. So the doctrine of personal choice has really risked us phenomenally because no regulator can regulate this very intertwined knowledge at a very centralized level. So the onus is on us, we the consumers, we the educated consumers of these processed foods, these packaged foods per se. And there is a battery of other claims, which is like this food is the source of dash dash dash, or this food has high content of dash dash dash, referring to particular nutrients. They are also subject to certain guidelines. So the knowledge is out there, but in on the packaged food, ये सब बहुत डायमंड फॉन्ट पे लिखा जाता है. चार डायमंड फॉन्ट वी ऑल नो, फोर साइज फोर. So reading diamond font is good for eyes. That is another tip we want to share. The Sri Aurobindo Center for Perfect Sight at Puducherry. It says that in a candlelight, if we read a diamond font, our refractive index gets corrected. That's a whole battery of research and practice which is out there. So in a way, it is good for our eyes if we take a magnifying glass and read these small claims, the big claims on the front of the pack, and the data substantiating the same on the back of it, which is generally written in diamond font. So we can make a corroboration between the two. So numerical specific information pertaining to vitamins and minerals be expressed in metric units and or as a percentage of the nutrient reference values, or per 100 grams or per 100 ml or per serving. So a correlation exercise has to be done within the classroom. It can be thought of. Now the question comes, ICMR doyens ask, can the label claims be misleading? So we talked about incompleteness, incorrectness. So can these labels be misleading again? दिखावे पे ना जाओ, अपनी अकल लगाओ. So health claims on packaged foods, they are designed to catch the consumer attention and convince them that product is healthy under quotes. So though the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India, FSSAI, has strict norms, the information presented in labels, it could be misleading. And following are some of the examples. ICMR has not has dared to expand it all, and they say that all natural, this kind of claim. A food product can be called natural if it doesn't have added colors, added flavors, or artificial substances and goes through minimal processing. So this term is often used rather loosely. It is often used by manufacturers to identify one or two natural ingredients in the mix, and this can be misleading. आप अगर एक पैकेज जूस पिए हैं और ऑल नेचुरल्स पे लिखा हो, बड़ा मुश्किल है उसको पकड़ना, because all natural can only happen in your household where you have a nice juicer and you have procured the fresh fruits from the market, and then you have unpeeled or peeled those fruits, you have put it in the juicer, and you have got the all natural juice on your own. That is the 100% all natural juice. So read the label, specifically the ingredients and other information carefully to cross check the claims. Present below are some examples of statements on labels that could be misleading. Real fruit or fruit juice. So according to the FSSAI regulation, any food item with even a small amount, for example, fruit juices containing only 10 or less percentage of fruit added to a product is allowed to state that the product is made with real fruit pulp or juice. तो 10% आम में 90% चीनी डाल दीजिए तो क्या वो ऑल नेचुरल हो जाएगा? सो अगेन दिस इज द core play. So, but the product claiming to have real fruit may have added sugar and other additives with only 10% of actual fruit pulp. So, FSSAI regulations are not that very rigorous. They are not very they allow incomplete and incorrect claims to go forward, and it can be misleading. So that is a gap in our entire regulatory regimen, and the decision for choosing or not choosing has been left to the common citizenry, the consumers, and that's where programs like these uh, come handy to take charge of them. So made with whole grain, this is again a claim. These words could be misinterpreted. Such a statement does not necessarily imply that the food items are not tertiary or ultra processed. So organic, again, it's a very misleading claim. When a food label states organic, it may simply mean that it is free of all artificial preservatives, flavors, or colors, and that the food ingredients are free from pesticides and chemical fertilizers. If both the above are met, then the label can state 100% organic and have the Javik Bharat logo approved by the FSSAI. So the percentage matters. Merely saying organic, it has to be 100% organic. The rigidity, should purest form. So that notion which used to be there with our grandmothers, both nannies and dadis, as we colloquially call about it, I think that notion has to be resuscitated, reignited, and I would say reinstated in our culinary habits all across. Again, a label like low fat or light. Many low fat or non fat foods may still have a lot of calories. So often these foods have extra sugar, refined flour, or starch thickeners to make them taste better. So many of these ingredients are often used as fat replacers. So these ingredients, they add calorie from the added carbohydrates. For low fat, look for information on whether the food item has 0 grams of trans fat and whether it is low in saturated fat or cholesterol. So foods that contain partially hydrogenated oils in the ingredients list should not be acceptable. This is vital. This is a kind of a statutory warning which ICMR is giving to us. So light or LITE, light versions are also often claimed on products. It may imply that the fat or oil used is more easily absorbed than others. However, it does not mean that it is low in calories, since 1 gram of any fat or oil will give 9 calories. So this mathematics will all come. We have again 16 more sessions to undergo, and if needed, we might take supplementary sessions as well to help you to do the basic diet mathematics. So somewhere or the other, the diet mathematics, the nutrition mathematics, understanding the nuts and bolts of it would be coming handy to it to debunk these false, misleading, incomplete claims which are made out there. So no cholesterol or heart friendly. Again, this is a kind of a label which is put up on the products. बड़ा मुश्किल होता है ना कि आज के जमाने में भाई खाएं तो खाएं क्या? If you really go to a purist dietitian, So it actually comes to the conclusion that procure only the raw stuff from the market, which again has a plethora of chemicals because of the great use of insecticides and pesticides and urea and all kind of chemical fertilizers. But again, this is the challenge of the modern age, and Ahari Aushadhi hai. Successively we can try out, starting from being aware of these claims, reducing their blind consumption in our day-to-day lives, and then stopping all at once, then going to the hospitals, invoking our insurance policies, and getting chronic diseases. So that's what ICMR says, that 56% of the health burden in the country is because of unhealthy diet practices. Again and again, this repetition has to be made. So no plant-based oil contains cholesterol. No plant-based oil contains cholesterol. However, all oils are 100% fat and therefore should be consumed in moderate quantities. So good source of protein, vitamin D or other nutrients. This is again a claim which can be misleading. A good source means that a single serving of that food has 10% to 19% of the amount of that nutrient. While this information is useful, read about the quantity of these nutrients with reference to daily nutrient recommended. So as a part of the Good Diet Doctors program, we would be culling out a lot of workbooks, worksheets, uh, because this theoretical knowledge has to really go out back to our households, back to the classrooms where 30 odd students are there, and they can go back to their own households, their own kitchens, rasoi ghar, their own tuck shops or tuck, I would say tuck stashes wherever they are, and bring them out, do the maths, come back to the classrooms and see how biology and mathematics are in tandem. They are working in tandem, and also the chemical teacher. So it can be an interdisciplinary class where a biology, chemistry, and a mathematics teacher, three of them are creating diet doctors in large number. At least the diet aficionados, at least the students can be made aware of these very aspects. So sugar free, again, it's a big misleading notion. Sugar free has become quite a moniker all through. So people often associate sugar free foods with lower calories and perceive these to be beneficial for diabetics and Weight Watchers. Sugar free foods may be loaded with fats, refined cereals, and even hidden sugars like maltitol, fructose, corn syrup, molasses. And these would imply high glycemic index and high quality in the food item. In our closing sessions, Dr. Surbi would be presenting her own proprietary diet sargam. जैसे म्यूजिक में नोट्स होते हैं ना, सा रे गा मा पाधा नीसा. But then what is a raga? A raga is composed of a very judicious mix of all these swaras and in their various variants, the komal ones, the so how the fats, the carbs, the minerals, vitamins, how they are all becoming a balanced diet. I think that's where a dietitian, a very well-trained dietitian and a doctor, doctor is at a different level of a dietitian. So that's where we say a real diet doctor is one who has the command over all these multifaceted terms we are using. Abhi hum log from very coarse, a very macro view, something which has a bit of an activism, bit of a detectivism. अच्छा लगता है ना हमको कि भाई हमने पकड़ा ये बात को. And then we will go back deeper into the scientific evidences out there. So this chapter points to register. I would request our expert, Dr. Surbi, to do the honors of encapsulating them all uh, for the closure of this session. Yeah.
So, points to register from this very valuable session are: nutrition and health claims are regulated by FSSAI. Yes, always read food label information to know about the content of foods inside a pack. Food label should display the name of the food, the brand name, the list of the ingredients, date of manufacture, use by expiration dates, allergen declaration, etc. The ingredients are presented in descending order, with the food item that has been used in highest quantity stated as the first item. The nutrient content declaration is usually printed on the back of the pack. This nutrient content provides nutrients per 100 gram or 100 ml or serve size to help the consumer make informed choices. Now, percent RDA, recommended dietary allowance per nutrient for every serving of food, is also mandatory on the label. Although nutrition and health claims are regulated by FSSAI, most importantly, consumers are advised to exercise caution by cross checking the claims with ingredients and nutrition information on the label. So it's evident that it's so very important to read the labels on the on the packaged food items. All the food items which we are consuming, we should know how nutritious that it is for us. And this is general information which anyone can decipher, for, provided we just take out 5 minutes once before we open the pack to read all these
So, as a
information.
part of the Diet Doctor program, where our registered faculty members would be given elaborate worksheets on each
Hmm.
of these chapters. So, this is the theory part of it all. Now, to put it into practice, some very interesting exercises, applied exercises, how to do the brand level detectivism, as we call it, investigation into the veracity of the claims made. The teachers can really create teams of students कि भाई तुम लोग इस category of food item को use करो, इस category of food items को. So it's very fun learning out there to really become a diet doctor. We deliberately chose this exercise at the level of the faculty members because they have the intellectual capacity. And today is the International Equal Pay Day while we are recording this session. And in the academic parlance, half of our faculty members are women and they are mothers, would be mothers or eminent ones, and who are nurturing them. And they say food in our Indian parlance and Indian pantheon, it's a motherly phenomena. Even a chef like Sanjeev Kapoor comes and serves us delicacies, or a Ranbir Brar comes, or the host of the YouTube, we can see a host of our culinary experts, the chefs, they're all males, but then cooking has been structurally considered to be a motherly thing because it's a nourishing proposition. So I think with that motherly care, if we can do in a fun fashion the learning part of it and the foundational learnings, whatever we do as a part of our biology classrooms, what's a starch, what is a vitamin, so it's play into our body. It comes over here. So that's how it's a very applied, enhanced program. And we will really recommend our schools to really appoint aspirational diet doctors to undertake these sessions and register for them. And the next session would be delving deeper into guideline 16th, which is all about include nutrient rich foods in the diets of the elderly फॉर हेल्थ एंड वेलनेस. हम लोग दादी नानी दादा नाना से ज्ञान लेने की बात तो करते हैं, बट आर वी टेकिंग इफेक्टिव केयर ऑफ देम? सो दैट इज वेयर अ रियल फैमिली blossoms. And it's said in the Indian parlance, a family is one where under the single roof 3 generations reside. Today we have a lot of data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. It is disseminated through multiple channels. Rather, there is an implosion of it all. Implosion of data is out there, implosion of information is there. Knowledge is given by our teachers, our tutors, a lot of experts out there. But then wisdom, it's a trusted one, it's a distilled one in a very personalized context, and that is only transmitted from the dada, dadi, nana, nani to the youngsters out there. Uh, so next session would be all about as to how we can keep our elder ones from elders to infants. We will take this route as a part of this session. So thank you so much for listening to this very elaborate program. And you have all our contact IDs through our other channels. And we hope that this entire exercise of disseminating this science-based, evidence-based nutritional learning, what ICMR NIN has brought about, it will spark. We are not expecting very big change in a short time, but it will start a thinking paradigm. With these 18 sessions in Go, we added 17 plus 1. तो गीता के 18 अध्याय की तरह आज के मॉडर्निटी के कुरुक्षेत्र में एक तरफ अनहेल्दी कौरव्स आर स्टैंडिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ अस एंड वी आर ऑल बिविल्डर्ड लाइक एन अर्जुना कि भाई हम कैसे healthy food habits को अपनी लाइफ में लाएं. 56% of the disease burden is because of unhealthy food. So at least in our personal use cases 56% health conditions can be alleviated or it can be redressed just by adopting the healthy food practices. And thank you, Dr. Surbi, for reminding us on a host of technical issues from fortification to allergies to a host of other things. So we would be back again with our session 3, which will be covering the guideline 16th of this legendary dietary guidelines for Indians, so painstakingly created by the ICMR National Institute of Nutrition. And just to pay obeisances to this entire expert panel, what a doyen, what a galaxy of experts who are synthesizing the most modern scientific paradigms and traditional Indian knowledge systems in one go. So thank you so much. We will be back with the next session. Namaskar.